Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the daily current affairs session brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy for the date 18th August 2023 for the news which came in Indian Express newspaper. Okay, let's get into the today's current affair discussion. The first news is related to xenotransplantation. What is the xenotransplantation is? We will look into the upcoming slides. Okay, this was the news. Right now in the New York, in one hospital, a brain dead person's body have been utilized to check whether the pig kidney is working properly in the human body or not. Right now the 1 month have passed after the introduction of the genetically modified pig kidney into the brain dead person's body. 1 minute. Brain dead person body, and right now the kidney is working fine, and there is no or any other kind of deficient has been found until now. Okay, this is what the news is related to. Okay, let's discuss about what is this xenotransplantation is about. Xenotransplantation is nothing but inculcation or transplanting the non-human tissues or cells into the human body is called as xenotransplantation. That is using other non-human organs inside the human in the place of the human organs to act as the support for human body functioning. So this is what the xenotransplantation is about. Okay, how this news is related to UPSC exam is that the news is related to UPSC General Studies paper 3 under a topic called Science and Technology. Under the Science and Technology, a subtopic called Awareness in the field of IT, space, computers, robotics, nanotechnology and biotechnology. Okay, since the world, most of the researchers around the world is now undergoing this research related to xenotransplantation. So what is the advantages of this xenotransplantation is that firstly it resolves the global organ shortage. So right now the major burden across the medical fraternity is that because of organ shortages, the persons who have been affected by certain diseases or any other accidents could not be able to be saved because of non-availability of the organs at the required time. So this problem will be resolved because we will be using the non-human, that is other living species tissues in the place of human organs. Second is certain non-human tissues or other animals organs have been found to be therapeutic to the certain diseases like a normal bacterial as well as fungus diseases, and it could reduces the illegal organ trafficking. Right now the black market is the one of the most important headache for this for the enforcement agencies in relation to the organ trafficking only. Why it is that is because of huge demand for organ and then less supply for the less supply in the organ. There has been a black market has been developed where the person, those who have the money power, could able to access as this black market, and he is procuring the organs illegally from the black market. If the xenotransplantation is being successful means there is no need for this kind of illegal trafficking of human organs because the animal organs will be adequately used for the organ shortages. And then the fourth important is that it reduces the cost of organ transplantation. Right now the organ transplantation cost is very high because of the less supply of the organs. When there is adequate supply of that particular organs means, then correspondingly the treatment related to the transplantation will also get reduced. Then the successful implementation of xenotransplantation will enable further R&D and as well as innovation in the xenotransplantation area. So these are all the advantages of the xenotransplantation. What concerns have been related to the xenotransplantation is that despite all the advantages, the first major advantage is that the animals have shorter lifespan than the humans, most of the animals. So if those animals organs are going to be used for humans means, then then those organs will also have shorter duration of time period only. Second is, because of this kind of transplantation, there is a chance that there may be a disease transmission, and also the alteration in the animal tissues or the cells will also act as the catalyst for disease transmission inside the human body. And then there are some ethical concern related to the using animal tissue for the human tissue. And then there is no proper standards until now for the R&D activities in relation to the xenotransplantation, and also the implementation of the xenotransplantation in the formal medical sectors. So these are all the other concerns that have been raised by medical expert in relation to xenotransplantation is about. So what measures need to be taken so that we could able to overcome this kind of concerns are, the proper standards needed to be fixed in relation to the R&D activities, and also the proper implementation of this kind of treatment in the formal medical sector. Second is, there need to be a promotion of research in the medical sector in relation to the xenotransplantation should be enhanced. How it will get enhanced? It is only because of the policy as well as regulatory support from the government side. Third is, there need to be balance between organ transplantation as well as xenotransplantation, because due to advancement in the technology, if you are completely ignoring the organ transplantation and we are giving main focus only to the xenotransplantation means, there will be more number of negative issues will be taking place in relation to the usage of animal in the xenotransplantation. What is that? Is that because of using only xenotransplantation for the organ transplant in the medical sector means, there will be the most number of non-living animals will be used for the research activities, and it will be used for organ transplantation, which is not required. So, but there need to be a balance between them, or they need to act as the complementary as well as supplementary in tandem with the smooth functioning of the transplantation. And what we needed to study further is, we should know about the convention of biodiversity. Second is, we should know about what is the Biodiversity Act. Third is, we should know about the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. These are all the other areas which we needed to be aware of. Okay, this is what the news that is related to xenotransplantation as well as its advantages and disadvantages and its way forward is about. Okay, let's discuss about the prelims question which was asked in relation to the news which we have seen in the previous slide in relation to xenotransplantation. Consider the following statements. Genetic changes can be introduced in the cell that produces eggs or sperms of the prospective parent. Yes, the statement is correct. Genetic changes can be introduced in the cell that produce eggs or sperms. A person's genome can be edited before birth at the early embryonic stage. This statement is also correct. Human-induced pluripotent stem cells can be injected into the embryo of the pig. Yes. All the three statements are correct. So answer is option D, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, another news is the disinvestment. News related to disinvestment. The disinvestment will fall shortage of 60% to the estimated target of this year's disinvestment estimate. And why it is so is that because of some political reason and also because of lagging of the process in other disinvestment areas. Right now the economists or the officials from the government side are expecting that there will be a shortage of disinvestment proceeds that government will be earning this year in compared to the disinvestment estimate that was made during budget for the financial year 24. Okay, how the news is related to UPSC civil service exam is that the news is related to UPSC General Studies paper 3 economic development under a subtopic called Indian economy issues relating to planning and mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. Okay, we have seen about disinvestment. What does this disinvestment is about and what does it mean? Disinvestment means sale of certain percentage of stakes in the particular industry or organization by the government to the other organization. More frequently, private organization is called as disinvestment. 1 minute. Let's start. There are three types of disinvestment. The one is minority disinvestment, second is majority disinvestment, and third is privatization. This minority disinvestment is government will be reducing only certain small percentage of its stake in the central public sector undertaking. That percentage, that small percentage will be less than the 50% only, and so, as a result of which government will be having entire management control authority. Second is in the case of majority disinvestment, government will be holding or government will be reducing its stake in the particular organization by more than 50%, as a result of which government's management control as well as the stakes will get reduced. And third is outright privatization, where government will be selling 100% stake in the central public sector undertaking to the private sector, so that government will be losing its all the stake as well as the management control in relation to the central public sector undertaking. Okay, this is what the disinvestment is related to. Okay, how the disinvestment funds will be utilized in India? Let's discuss about. The National Investment Fund, which was established in 2005, act as a channel where the fund which was brought through disinvestment will get channelized, and the National Investment Fund during initial period of its time as a corpus fund, and this corpus fund will be permanent, and it will be managed by, it was managed by 3 insurance companies like SBI, LIC and UDI. These insurance companies were managing the corpus of the national investment fund, and the return which they have been getting from the fund will be utilized for social sector activities as well as for infra activities. So out of 100 rupees, out of the 100 rupees which they have been earning from the corpus, means 75% will be utilized for social sector purpose, and 25% will be used for the capital expenditure or infrastructure development purpose. But during 2008 or until 2013 period, there was some difficulty in the economic activity and also the in the global economy, as a result of which government has exempted this kind of criteria for spending the national investment fund during this period. But during 2013, national investment fund was remodified to make it in tune with disinvestment policy of Government of India. So under it, the national investment fund will be doing certain functions, like it will be subscribing to shares issued by central public sector undertaking, so that since national investment fund is the government fund, it is the fund owned by government. So if it is investing in the share issued by central public sector undertaking, means that central public sector undertaking will again come under the government control only. So and the reason for subscribing to the share is so to ensure the 51% stake in the organization, so that government management control will be ensured. Second is preferential allotment of shares of central public sector undertaking to be promoted according to the SEBI guidelines, and then these funds can be used for recapitalization for the banks as well as insurance companies. And then the investment, and also the funds could be utilized for the investment by government in RRBs, IIFL, NABARD as well as Exim Bank, and also the equity the fund could be used for the equity infusion in the metro projects, and then investment in Bharat Nahikia Vidyut Nigam Limited and Uranium Corporation of India Limited, Indian, and also in the Indian Railway capital expenditure. So these are all the areas where the national investment funds could be invested after 2013. And who is the authority that controls the disinvestment procedure is the DIPAM, which stands for Department of Investment and Public Asset Management. It is the authority under Ministry of Finance, which is Ministry of Finance, and it will be the controlling authority of disinvestment process in India. It is so. This is what the news related to disinvestment and the types of disinvestment and the fund which is managing the disinvestment in India is about. Okay, let's discuss about what does this disinvestment has. Has means advantages. It reduces the fiscal burden of Government of India because of the off-taking of government control in certain sectors or certain public sector undertakings where the government is making laws and the government is off-taking a certain percentage of stake out of it, means government will be surely saving a certain amount which will be utilized for reducing its fiscal deficit. Second is because of introduction of private sectors in the central public sector organization, there will be introduction of new management techniques and technology, as a result of which the efficiency of the organization will be enhanced. Second is the fund that has been bought from the disinvestment could be utilized for other social welfare schemes and then capital expenditure schemes. Fourth is increase in the competitiveness. So by infusing the private sector's brain into the central public sector organization means its efficiency will be increased, and as a result of which the competitiveness of that loss making organization will also get enhanced. There will be better service to the consumer. Because of the efficiency of the organization, the service that is delivered to the consumer will also get enhanced, so that consumer will get a better satisfaction, and then because of it there will be an increase in employment, and then it will lead into a path of profitability. So these are all the advantages of the disinvestment. And what are all the concerns related to disinvestment is that there is a risk of valuation. Right now there is no proper standards in relation to valuation of a particular central public sector undertakings disinvestment process. Second is because of complex labor laws, the disinvestment process has been slowed down, because the laws provide certain backup or safeguard for the laborers in India, as a result of which the outright offtake or outright sale of the central public sector undertaking to the private sector means there will be changes in labor management. So because of this kind of complex labor law, the disinvestment proceed has been slowed down. And then there will be loss of equity. How it is, that is, if whenever the private sector is supplying goods as well as service to the consumer means it will be supplying only for the profit, and those who are having money only will be able to get the products or service from that particular organization. But in the case of government, it will supply goods and service in relation to the needs of the people, and also to ensure that the equity is achieved while delivering the goods and service process, which will be done by the government. But it is not the case with the private sector organization. So these are all the disadvantages in relation to disinvestment. So what we needed to study further is we should know about what is strategic as well as non-strategic sector in public sector undertakings. Second is we should know about merger. Third is we should know about asset monetization is about. What is asset monetization and what is the difference between asset monetization as well as disinvestment in India. And then fourth is we should know about what are all the other function of DIPAM, that is Department of Infrastructure Public Asset Management, other than disinvestment procedure. So these are all the other things which we needed to be aware of. Okay, let's discuss about the service previous year prelims question. Why is Government of India disinvesting its equity, the central public sector enterprise? The first statement is the government intends to use revenue earned from disinvestment mainly to pay back the external debt. The statement is wrong. As I said, the government will be utilizing the fund which it has got from the disinvestment proceed according to the regulation of national investment fund, which we have discussed in the previous slide. Second is the government no longer intends to retain the management control of the central public sector undertaking. This is also wrong. This is the extreme statement. It is not the intention of the governments. So answer is option D, neither one nor two. Okay, this is what the news related to the disinvestment as well as the types of disinvestment and national investment fund, and what are all the advantages disadvantages of the disinvestment, and what are all the other areas which we needed to study apart from the disinvestment is about, and the previous year prelims question related to it. India China border talks. Right now, the latest round of border talks has been happened and does not ended in a fruitful result. Why it has happened is the August 22-23 there will be a BRICS leader summit which will be happening in Johannesburg, where the our prime minister as well as the Chinese president will be meeting. So before that they wanted to have a fruitful conclusion of the border standoff, but it has not happened so. But the Chinese president will be arriving India next month for the G20 summit. So there are still time to end the border talks with fruitful outcomes. But what the experts are saying is that the disengagement at specific friction points can be happened immediately, but in the case of broader de-escalation it will take time. So whatever happens, India's Delhi, what the article has said is that Delhi must not nudge and demand complete withdrawal of troops as well as de-escalation at the border. This is what the news is related to. Okay. How the news is related to civil service examination is that it is related to UPSC GS2 international relation, India and its neighborhood relation. Okay, what is the reason why there is the conflict between India as well as China in the borders? That there is no mutually agreed line of actual control in certain stretches. That is, the border between the India and China have been divided into three sectors. One is western sector where the Ladakh is present, middle sector where the Himachal as well as Uttarakhand region state is present, and then the eastern sector where the Arunachal Pradesh region is present. The line which separates the India and China in the western region is called as Johnson line, and also another line called McDonald's line, which was made during British period. India, according to Johnson's line, the Ladakh region belongs to India. So India is supporting the Johnson's line. But in the case of McDonald's line, what it says is that China is having a control over the Ladakh region, which the China supports it. So there is the conflict in the accord or the treaty which was signed during the British period. India is supporting Johnson line, but in the case of China, which is supporting the McDonald's line. So there is the dispute between them, as a result of which this western sector is having some conflict. But in the case of middle sector, there is no much conflict apart from here and there one or two areas. But in the case of eastern region, the line which separates the India as well as China in the eastern sector is called as McMahon's line. It is the UG highly conflicted area. So because of this kind of இந்த மாதிரியான முரண் இருக்கிறதுனால India China borderல there has been some problems arising at the border areas of India as well as China, and then strengthening of relation with each other's opposing country. Right now India is cooperating heavily with Japan, South Korea, and also the Southeast Asian countries which China has problem with. At the same time, China is having close relationship with countries like Pakistan, which in India has some disputes. Because of this factor also, India and China is facing a conflict in their relation. Third is the Indian Ocean issue. Right now, India wanted to have a control over Indian Ocean, but the recent occurrence The reason geopolitical news, what it says is that China is trying to maintain heavy influence in the Indo as well as Pacific region. And then the Dalai Lama issue. There is a conflict between India and China in relation to Dalai Lama. So these are all the reason for India as well as China conflict, which accumulated and then led to a border conflict in the northern, that is western sector of the border, which is in Ladakh. And what are the efforts being made so far is that during 1993 there was an agreement signed between India and China to maintain the peace as well as tranquility in the border areas. And then after some years, agreement on confidence building measures were also taken, so that the activities done by each of them on their respective side will not create any kind of hesitation or agitation, and the activities will be in a way that will be building confidence between between the two sectors. So this is what the agreement is about. Third is Border Defense Cooperation Agreement, which was signed during 2013 after Despang confrontation. And then the 5-point plan to de-escalate the standoff at the LAC region during 2020. So these are all the other efforts that has been made between two countries to cool off the military conflicts or the border conflicts that is happening between India and China. So what need to be done further to reach an amicable solution is that there need to be enhancement in the diplomatic talks. Second is there need to be a guidelines to settle the border disputes. Third is there need to be not only the guidelines at the book level, there need to be implementation guidelines also, so that the guidelines will be implemented in the true spirit. Fourth is there should be a complete demarcation between the areas. There should be complete demarcation, that is there should not be any kind of hesitation after the demarcation. So such like demarcation should be made, and then prepare for potential conflict. If India should prepare for any kind of conflict which the China might arise at the future, and then the border infrastructure should be developed, which will be done only by investing heavily in the capital expenditure side of the defense ministry. So these are all the other things which needed to be made by Government of India to enhance or to control the situation that is happening in the border areas with China. So what are all the challenges here is that, what are the challenges in doing is that, it is that right now China is following an aggressive policy. It has border disputes with every border countries. It has border disputes with every border countries, and it wanted to be one of the number one superpower in the world, and it wanted to control all the land based, sea based trade routes, so that it is going for aggressive policy across the world. And then because of nexus between China and Pakistan, the India-China relationship because of the nexus of the China-Pakistan relation, the India-China relation will be in a very low phase only. So this is the second challenge. Third is China is opposing India's membership in certain groupings like Quad. So these are all the factors which will hinder the amicable solution that needed to be achieved in the northern border with China. Okay, what we needed to study further is we should know about what does this strings of pearls is about. Then we should know about the lone wolf policy as well as 5-finger strategy of China. Then we should know about what does this South China Sea is about, the geography as well as the political conflict in the South China region. And fourth is we should know about in what are all the areas where the India and China is having common interest, like in the case of climate change. So this is what the news is about. Project 17A. So what is it? We will look into it. The president launches a stealth navy frigate, Vidyagiri, for Indian Navy, which was made indigenously by Garden Reach shipbuilders and engineers, which is present at Kolkata under a project called Project 17A. Project 17A is being implemented to make 7 frigates. Out of the 7 frigates, 4 will be made by Mazgundab Shipyard Limited, and then 3 will be made by Garden Reach Shipbuilding as well as engineers in Kolkata. So all that 7 ship frigates will be made indigenously in India only. And right now the INS Vindhyadri is the 6th ship, and the other 5 previous stealth frigate that has been introduced are INS Nilgiri, INS Udaygiri, INS Himagiri, INS Taragiri, and then INS Dunagiri. These 5 ships along with the Vidyagiris are named after the Nilgiri class frigates, which was decommissioned during 2013. And the news has given some physical parameters also. They are 149 meter long with a displacement of approximately 6,670 tons and then speed of 28 knots. So these are all the characteristic feature of these ships, and these ships will be fitted with guided missiles. Guided missiles and then capable of neutralizing threats in all 3 dimensions of air as well as surface as well as subsurface. So this is the speciality of the INS Vindhyagiri. Not only INS Vindhyagiri but also the whole frigates of the Project 17A. So this is what it is about. How the news is related to the civil service examination is that it is related to UPSC GS3 Science and Technology under a subtopic called Indigenization of Technology and Developing New Technology. Okay, Project 17A, as I have said, it is the project to construct stealth frigates indigenously in India. So total 7 will be made, 4 at Mazgundab and Dock 3 at Garden Reach Builders, and it was designed by India's Navy Warship Design Bureau, which is functioning under Indian Navy. So these are all the important details related to Project 17A. Okay, what is the advantages of the indigenization is that because of indigenization process, there will be development of industry will be taking place. Second is because of development of industry, our import dependence will get reduced. Right now we are depending more on other countries for our defense equipments, which will get reduced, as a result of which our forex exchange could be saved. So, and then because of development of defense industries in India, the supply chain in relation to this industry will be getting strengthened. Because of the strengthening of supply chain, the MSME sectors, which is acting as input or providing input for the defense industries, will also get strengthened, and as a result of which the employment will also get generated, and there will be technology advancement that will be happening. If you wanted to develop a new defense equipment, means then there need to be the research and development activities needed to take place if we wanted to develop any kind of defense related equipment in India. So as a byproduct of development of industry, the technology advancement will also be happening, and then it will be a strategic advantage for India. So if we are reducing our dependence and then we are becoming a most important dominant player, means then the decision that will be made by India from then on will be not influenced by any other countries or region, and the decision will be made only by considering India's requirement only. So these are all the advantages of indigenization. Okay, what is the challenges for indigenization? That planning has some deficiency in it, which needed to be addressed. Second is, there is a lack of infrastructure for mass production of defense products. Then there is some restriction in relation to land acquisition. So these are all the things, and then the advanced countries are hesitant to transfer their technologies to India. Second is, and another challenge is the bureaucratic delay. Then high cost as well as lack of assured market for the defense product is also acting as a challenge. So these are all the challenges for indigenization. And then what are all the measures needed to be taken is that, what are the measures not needed to be taken, what are the measures has already been taken by government of India to overcome this kind of challenges, that a strategic partnership model has been introduced. Second is defense procurement policy, and then new defense acquisition procedures have been made so that the indigenization in India will become a reality. Third is defense innovation hubs has been made. Then defense industrial corridors is being implemented so that the defense industries and then other industries which is related to defense equipment manufacturing industries will be coordinated, and then there will be the ease of logistics as well as in the infrastructure related to it will develop. Then the FDI right now allowed is till 74% under automatic route, and up to 100% will be allowed, but only through government route, only in the certain applicable cases, not in the all the cases. But the 74% will be allowed in all the cases. Okay, what we needed to study further is, there is another project called Project 75 and Project 75I, which is the project related to indigenization process in India. Second is, we should know about the defense acquisition council. Third is, we should know about what is buy, then buy and make model, and then make model is about. These are all the other areas which we needed to be aware of. Okay, let's look into what is the civil service prelims question that was asked in relation to the news. In the context of Indian defense, what is DRU? DRU is nothing but a twin engine multi-role helicopter. So according to the option, it is the advanced light helicopter of India. So this is what the news is related to. Okay, let's have a practice prelims question hereafter. In which of the following groups are all the 4 countries member of G20? So I want those students, those who are watching this session online, please do comment answer point for the questions, option for the question which we are seeing right now on the board. So please do comment. So with this we have reached the end of the session. So these are all the important news as well as analysis related to the news which appeared today. Thank you.